Assalamu alaikum. Um, in this video, we discuss about the legality of object consideration and agreements opposed to the public policies. We've already learned something about it, but in this video, we will briefly discuss about what type of agreements which are actually opposed to the public policies and the standards regarding the legality of object. So let's move on. In the first slide, we actually learn about the definition. So, legality of object and consideration according to the section 23 is this: the consideration or object of an agreement is lawful unless it is forbidden by law, is of such a nature that if permitted would defeat the provision of any law, it is fraudulent, or if it involve any injury to the person or property of another. So, under these two sub-points, we find out that if any agreement fall under any of the following 4 points, then such agreement lawfulness or legality can be answered or questioned. So let's move on. In the first part, there is forbidden by law. So if the law of the state prohibits any object, the consideration of an agreement, then such agreements are void. And what would be the effects of such agreement? The first one is the collateral transaction to such an agreement also become tainted and hence cannot be enforced. Like the promise which among the two parties cannot be enforced. This it will be the first side effects of such agreements which are actually forbidden by the law. The second one is no action can be taken for the recovery of money paid or property transferred under such agreement, and for the breach of any such agreement. Like in any promise or agreement that is forbidden by law, if any transaction took place or transaction performance from both sides took place, but somehow they sue each other and now w- want them to for the recovery or want them to go back to the original position before the agreement, then it cannot be enforced by the contract, by the law. So court will not take any action, or law and order organization will not take any step toward the recovery of such money because such agreement was actually forbidden by law. The third one is in case of an agreement containing the promise, some part of which is legal and another part is illegal, the legal position is as under the section 57 58. Like if illegal part cannot be separated, then the whole agreement is illegal. Okay, but if the illegal part can be separated, then court will enforce the legal part and will reject the illegal party. So there is confusion that we have learned before, that if there's a contract where partly consideration is legal but the part is illegal, then a contract is void. But here the scenario is different. So if the consideration is like that, it could be separated, then the legal part will be enforced. But if it is not, then the whole agreement is void and nothing will be enforced. So these are the side effects if any agreement fall under the category that is forbidden by the law. No, fraudulent with the object of an agreement is fraudulent. The agreement is void. We've already learned about the fraud, that is active concealment, empty promise, declared act by the law that is fraudulent, or any act fitted as a fraudulent. So if your object of an agreement is fraudulent, the agreement is void. There's no further explanation. And if in any agreement is involves or implies energy, the object of an agreement will be unlawful if it tends to injure the person or property can either be movable or immovable. Like if you want to um, the if you want Mr. B to come into the contract, and the contract will be to damage the building. So building is actually immovable property. Damage the building of Mr. C, or you give some money to someone to kidnap Mr. C. Mr. C is actually counted as a movable property, or his car. You want to destroy his car, so it is also a movable property. So any injury or you're involving in any injury to any party, including movable or immovable, such agreement is also unlawful and it is void. Co-regarded as immoral or opposed to public policy. Now, this is the most important part which we will discuss in our whole video. Where the objects of consideration of agreement such that are co-regarded as immoral or opposed to the public policy, then the agreement is void. Now, what are the agreements that could be fall under this section? That what are the agreements which are actually immoral or opposed to the public policy? Okay, here the agreement, the consideration or object of which is partly unlawful. We have already discussed, but here is some more explanation that a contract may can contain in several distinct promises or a promise to do several distinct acts, of which some are legal and other illegal, so part of which is illegal and a part of which is legal. Now, in case of an agreement containing the promise, some part of which is legal and illegal, the legal position is as follows according to the section 24. If the legal part cannot be separated, the whole agreement is illegal. Okay. In the earlier slides, we actually discussed about the enforceability. Now here, legality and illegality. So if legal part cannot be separated, the whole agreement is actually illegal. Here we do not use the word contract because contract is enforceable, but agreement is not. If the illegal party can be separated, part can be separated, the court will enforce the legal part and will reject the illegal party. Okay, promise to do legal and illegal things where a person reciprocally promise first to do certain things which are legal and secondly in specified circumstances to do certain other things which are illegal. The first set of promise is a contract, but the second is a void agreement under section 57. Like Mr. and Mr. B has uh, concluded three promise. The first promise is that Mr. A will deliver rice upon rupees 5 lakh. It's okay. The second promise is that Mr. B will deliver mm, quality A mangoes. In return, he will asking amount of, let's suppose, rupees 2 million. Is it okay? And it is a valid promise. Now, in the third promise, they said that if everything is okay at highway, then Mr. A will deliver further rice, but with some drugs. Now, this is illegal. Okay, the first two can be enforced, but the last one is actually a void agreement because the main um, aim or object of this promise is to deliver drugs with the rice. Okay, if in national highway there is low patrolling, then so this that type of agreement is actually void according to the section 57, but the earlier two promises are valid. Alternative promise being illegal. In the case of an alternative promise, one branch of which is illegal and the illegal, the legal branch alone can be enforced. Okay, according to the section 58 and agreement. So similarly, if there are reciprocal promise, alternative promise, only the legal branch can be enforced, but not the illegal branch. Now, the most important, which I have told you before, agreements opposed to public policy. So, what are the agreements which are actually opposed to the public policy? The first one is trading with the enemy. A person cannot enter into an agreement with an alien enemy during the period of war on the ground of public policy. This is because the further performance of the agreement involves commercial interaction with the enemy and the continued existence of an agreement would confer upon the enemy an immediate or future benefit. Contracts entered before the declaration of war are either suspended or terminated during the period of war. So most important thing is that with your enemy, alien enemy, you cannot come into the agreement during the period of war. But without the period of war, there will be an exception. You may proceed. So if there is any contract that is has been done before the period of war, then and you have done your performance, now waiting for the other person performance, and then the contract may be suspended till the war or terminated during the period of the war. But during the period of war, none of any agreement or a contract can be enforceable, and it is if you have done so, then that can be counted as an agreement opposed to the public policy. The second one is a stifling prosecution. Here it is written that criminals should be prosecuted and punished. Hence, an agreement for stifling prosecution is illegal. It is in public interest that if a person has committed crime, he must be prosecuted and punished. Like if you have done any contract that stifle any prosecution, then it is illegal. You cannot give money to any other person in order to get get that person free from the prosecution, although you know that he's a criminal. So such contract is opposed to the public policy and it is void. Okay, third one's a maintenance and champerty. Before moving to the maintenance and champerty, we should know that maintenance and champerty is illegal in the UK, but in the case of Pakistan, they are not absolutely white. Okay, why so? Because they may be treated valid if they fulfill certain condition, if it is reasonable and with bona fide intention. Okay, so what is actually maintenance and what is champerty? Maintenance is an agreement with a person promised to maintain a sue in which he has no interest. Okay, and the champerty is an agreement where one party agree to assist another in recovering property and in turn is to share the proceed of the action. Let's have an example. Okay, Mr. Mrs. X is actually a widow, and her house has been captured by the Mr. Y. Now she wants to sue him in the court of law, but she does not have money. So Mr. A has, you know, offer Mr. A has offered the widow women that I will give you money. Just go and file a sue against that person. When you will win the case, you will give my money back or whenever you will have. Okay. This is the assistance, the type of assistance that is given by the Mr. A to that widow person, and it is reasonable and it is with a bona fide intention. Okay, there's no any other intention, and other than that lady who does not have a reasonable amount of money in order to sue in order to get back her home, then it is called a maintenance and it is absolutely valid in the case of Pakistan, but it is not valid in UK. Okay, or in many European countries, it is not valid. But in Pakistan, in India, it is somehow valid if it fulfill these two conditions that it is reasonable and with bona fide intention. If it is non bona fide intention, then the scenario will be different. Okay, maybe there is a Mr. A and there is a Mr. B. Okay, and Mr. A want to, you can say, Mr. A actually does not like Mr. B very much, and he does not like the fame he has. So he hired Mr. C to just case on Mr. B, sue him or in any ground, and he will assist him by his money. Now here it is not reasonable and it is there is no bona fide intention. Okay, the intention is something different to defame other person, so this maintenance is void in Pakistan as well. So we have to understand that what type of maintenance is valid and what type of maintenance is not valid by um, check these 2 points into in any business law. Now let's move to the champati. Again, Mrs. X, a widow, and she wants to sue Mr. Y in the court of the law, but she does not have reasonable amount of money. So here is, let's suppose Mr. A. Mr. A is an advocate. She reached at his office and told him all the story that she is not financially stable, so do something. So he gave an offer. It's okay. You do not need to pay anything. I will assess your case and I will give you money. But in case if you will win the case, then you will have to share 20% of your winning amount for to me. Like if you win, you will get back your house. Let's suppose your house is of 10 million, then you will give me the 20% out of it. This is called champathy. Okay, and it is again the reasonable and with bona fide intention. Bona fide intention that advocate do not um, uh, that the advocate does not have any sort of hate against Mr. Y. He's actually helping that widow women, and in return, he want he wants actually his share. So this is valid in Pakistan, but again, this type of contract is not valid in UK or in European countries, and many countries as well, but in some continent at least it is valid. So it is all about the maintenance and champerty. It is opposed to the public policy if it does not fulfill these 2 points, that it is not reasonable with a bona fide intention. The fourth one is the sale of public offices. The agreement of sale of public policies offices are illegal, as such agreements, if enforced, would lead to inefficiency and corruption of public life. Similarly, agreement to pay money to public servant to induce him to act carefully or to retire and thus make way for the appointment promise are void on the ground of public policy. Here, actually, you're not selling the public offices. Okay, it means, according to the language of taxation, that any individual that is working in the public sector and receive any sort of bribe or kickbacks to manipulate any act or any work or work for or act according to the person from him he actually receive any benefit, that is called a sale of public offices, and this type of agreement is actually void and opposed to the public policy. Restraint of the parental rights. You cannot give money to any parents in order to restrict himself to exercise their parental rights. So such agreements are void and opposed to the public policy. Restraints of personal liberty. You cannot restrict anyone by giving them a sum of money and ask them that do not choose medical field, although he wants to choose a medical field, want to do MBBS and become a doctor. So such contracts are also such agreements are actually void and opposed to the public policy, and agreements to create monopoly. Or if in any company came into being and gives some certain amount of money to the government that please do not allow any other company to enter into some market or give such amount of money to their association or any legal body which actually permit the other body to enter into the contract, such agreements can are void because such monopoly opposed to the public policy, and they will misuse and they will actually exploit the population of society. Marriage brokerage agreement, you cannot give money to anyone to their marriage, to break their marriage. So such agreement is also void and it is opposed to the public policy. So these are the agreements which are actually opposed to the public policy. And earlier we discussed about the agreements which are fraud or forbidden by the law. So thank you so much.